The mother of a 13-year-old girl who was present during the shooting of two policemen at Buduburam says her daughter and a 3-year-old boy who was in the convenience store close to the crime scene are still traumatized by the incident. She says her daughter is now unable to sleep at night, and the boy also cries anytime he sees strangers. She says they have not received any psychological assistance many days after the incident and is pleading for help to get her daughter back to her previous state. We're told that police had deployed clinical psychologists to the area. We'll hear from them, but first, here is the mother.
Well, she says that the children who witnessed the incident are still terrified and traumatized about the situation. She says the little boy, a 3-year-old boy who also saw what happened, right now, when he saw us arriving here, he just rushed into the room and then started crying. Well, she says anytime the boy sees someone, people who are not too familiar to him, he'll just rush to the room and then, start crying.
Because
well, she says the 13-year-old girl, her situation is worse because she cannot eat, she cannot sleep at night. She's always terrified. She's still terrified by the situation, the incident that happened here the other time. Well, she says yesterday she sent her to go and buy some medicine. She said she cannot go and get it because she's scared, and she says she doesn't want to sleep in darkness. She always wants the lights to be switched on before she can, sleep properly.
Because the viewer talk we had him. Nana Kamanya Nanako, Toman to Gafi, Avogitamiano for Pepecana, Adabama Dulafialo, Adabama Ditapana, the Via.
Well, she says she needs some assistance for the children because they're still traumatized about the situation. She's calling for help and assistance. If they can be relocated from this place, they will be excited because her children are still in the same environment and are terrified and are still scared by what happened last week Thursday.
The view on the view boy or blona, Kaka the Via Glado, he police in Pomama, the viewer, young Pomasa, Luku got a Majima Takuno, Tonya Pakuku, the Madakukano, the Gofia the Via.
Well, well, she is expressing concerns that police officers have been killed in a situation like this, in a man like this, and she's saying that she fears that the same killing could be extended to her children because they were there, and then the killer or the alleged killer actually saw them, that they were present when the incident happened.
So that is a mother of the children who witnessed this incident, the gruesome killing of a police officer who was shot in the head, not once or twice. Well, beyond the call for help for her daughter and the young boy, the mother has also been appealing for protection. Maxwell Agbagba has been with them, interacting with the woman as she heard. He joins me now in the studio. Maxwell, talk to me about the demeanor of the children. You met with them.
Yeah.
What was it like meeting with them?
Well, the 3-year-old was outside when we walked to their residence, into their residence, and the moment he saw us, he rushed into the room. And we did not have the opportunity to see what was happening inside. But when his mother came out and were interacting with her, she told us that when he came inside, he was crying, basically crying. And that we understand is how he has been reacting to strangers ever since, this incident happened. The 13-year-old girl had gone to take her shower, and when we arrived, she came in just some minutes after our arrival, and you could clearly tell from her face, that this is someone who has not had, good sleep. You could tell from her face that there's someone who is still traumatized by Thursday's, event. And as you heard her mother mention, that at night she doesn't sleep. Her mom was telling me that yesterday in the evening she sent her to go and buy her medicine, but she couldn't go because she was scared to go outside. And that's the general feeling amongst, the residents who live around the crime scene.
Some of whom you've been
Some
speaking
of whom
to.
we've been speaking to. They are not willing to grant interviews, but they opened up to us and told us how they're feeling after the incident. A man who owns a barbering shop in the area, I'm told, has not been able to open his shop for business. He has been advised, we are told, that he has been advised by his father that he shouldn't come to work for, he should take some days off because they are still scared about what has happened. In fact, the convenience store, the visuals that we saw on TV, the convenience store where Sergeant Michael Jamesi actually finally died. That convenience store today, when we went there, that convenience store was locked. The owner of the shop was not in there. The shop was locked. When we spoke to a man in the community, he said the woman who sells in there is equally, traumatized by the situation. So really, it has happened, but it looks like the community members are now bearing the brunt of all
the effects
that took place.
They're now feeling the effects. Now, help me understand something, Maxwell. The convenience store in where the girl and the boy live. Are they different places? And if it doesn't belong to the mother, what were they doing there?
Yeah, okay. So the convenience store does not belong to the 13-year-old mother.
Okay.
What we are told is that it's a family friend who owns that convenience store. On that day, they were in there because the owner of the shop was out attending to other things. So they were in there making sure that the shop was still open and then selling to the people. When the incident happened, the 13-year-old girl, we understand, was in there with a 3-year-old boy when the two vehicles pulled up in front of the shop, and then followed by the altercation between the police officers and the occupants of the vehicle, and then the subsequent, shooting. Okay,
so none of the residents will speak to you on record?
But none of them. In fact, none of them.
Except?
The concern that they raised was that, a bit interesting and, surprising. They say that they do not trust the police. And they cite our inability to, to actually arrest and properly prosecute perpetrators or people who are arrested for murder. And some of them are saying that, look, there are many times that we've had issues of, murder in this country, killing. People have been killed.
They don't trust the police because of what has happened in the
Exactly.
past.
And even though this suspect is still in the custody, the prime suspect is in the custody of the police, some people have been apprehended for this. They are saying that they think that they could be released anytime. And if they go and talk about the issue and they're released, then it means that, they can possibly rain terror, on them. So
what
they are not willing to open up. They're not willing to talk to anyone.
What do they want the police to do to give them that kind of assurance?
Well, it would be difficult. It would be extremely difficult for the police to win their trust, because all the people I spoke to were telling me that, look, in Buduburam here, you don't. In fact, they were telling me that, if the police comes in, that they're looking for eyewitnesses, some of them are already saying that they will not be able to cooperate with the police because they are scared for their lives. They will not be able to go to court to go and act as a witness, for this issue that has happened, because they are scared that the prime suspect and all the people arrested in connection, with this case
would come after them.
Would at the end of the day be released, and they will come after them.
Okay, they will come after them. But one person who we know for sure at this point is a potential star witness is this 13-year-old girl. For the 3-year-old boy, he's probably too young. But for the 13-year-old girl who can say what she saw, she's probably one of the star witnesses in this case. We heard after we told the story at midday that the police had dispatched a team of clinical psychologists to the area. Were you, did you find them there when you went there?
Well, we didn't find them when we went there, and when we interacted with the mother of this 13-year-old girl, she told us that they've not received any assistance, they've not received any psychological, assistance.
Not even a call from the police?
Well, they did not talk about a call, but they said they've not received any assistance, whatsoever.
And has the police, anybody from the police service, visited them, made any attempt to reach out to them?
Well, the information that I gathered was that the investigators have been to the area and they've been speaking to people who were around when the incident happened and all of that. So I'm sure possibly that's been the only interaction that they've had with the police. But the mother of this girl is concerned that her daughter is still living, in the community where the incident, took place. Her concern mainly is that the prime suspect or the people who have been arrested probably were around. I mean, they saw her daughter and they saw the 3-year-old boy when the incident, happened. So if police officers are being killed, in her own words, are being killed like fowls, she does not know what will happen to her 13-year-old daughter.
Well, let me just also indicate that we've been trying to speak to the police hierarchy, the PRO for the police service. We actually had them slated to respond to some of these, so we can understand what the clinical psychologists that they say they are sending there are going to work, and whether or not they've been in touch with them. We're still trying to get them on the line at the moment. As and when we have them, we'll get those answers from the perspective of the police. But Maxwell, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed. Is there anything else we need to know about this case and that you've been following?
Well, not much now. Just that the residents are now going back to their normal duties. But even as they do that, they're still scared. They're still terrified by the situation. It has affected businesses around, the crime scene. If you walk through Buduburam, you could still find, people, scores of people gathered still discussing this issue. When we were speaking to the residents, there was a man who walked up to us and told us that, look, I think the refugee camp, it's a haven, for criminal activities or for criminals. And I think he was saying that he thinks there is a need for state intervention to restore, some sort of order and, for want of a better word, in a better sanity, there at that refugee camp. So people are really concerned, and they think that what goes on in there, there's some kind of effect between what goes on in there and how it affects the Ghanaian community, also there at Buduburam.
Well, I'm sure that the police are aware of this, and I'm sure that the police know, like the IGP said, they have a plan to deal with the increasing lawlessness in Kaswa and its environs, Buduburam included. But like I said, we're still focusing really on what sort of help this girl is being given by the state. Some have said that in other jurisdictions should be in a witness protection program. But as we know, Maxwell Agbagba has been to the neighborhood. She is still with her parents, and we're not sure if we're sure there has not been any assistance from the police. What we don't know is whether or not there has been contact between them and the police and what that has yielded. But we're still trying to get the police to respond to some of these issues, and as when we have them, we'll get to speak to them. In the meantime, though, a medical practitioner is urging the relevant authorities to immediately offer psychological treatment for the 2 children. Dr. Justice Youngson is warning that the children will be scared forever if the authorities fail to do so. He actually says they may even be suicidal. He spoke on Newsfile last Saturday.
Clearly, listening to the 13-year-old on radio, I could pick clearly this girl is traumatized. What has to happen is that the 2 of them need urgent medical attention, and the details of that will mean involving clinical psychologists. They will need to go through therapy to really get them out of their current state. What you described is perfect. They are all traumatized. And the moment we forget to deal with this aspect, the scar is going to be with them for a very long time, and the consequences could be worse than we are experiencing now. It is at this point that the social services, i.e. the social welfare department, working together with the police service and to an extent maybe the Ghana Health Service, should ensure that they trace these two kids and get them the needed attention. The police service likely also has all these, medical facilities and professionals in their midst, but assuming without admitting that they don't even have them, and now because maybe they may be somewhere, there are still quite a lot of them in terms of the clinical psychologists and other health professionals who can deal with these situations in the system.
What are the potential repercussions if they do not receive the sort of therapy that you are talking about?
It's almost always very difficult to predict what a particular person's ultimate response will be. But the general picture is that some become suicidal because you see them at any given point, these images, come back into their minds, they're hallucinated and what have you. So the ultimate could be suicide. Like you're saying, this 3-year-old...
As a result of the trauma,
yes,
that the flashbacks will give them?
Yes.
Okay.
This young chap who is not talking, if you don't take time, could remain in that state and could just go into depression. So there are varied consequences ultimately.
Kids can go into depression?
Yes.
Oh, really?
It's not only adults. It's all about the experience, the emotional aspect, the mental, the psychological effects.
Dr. Jansen there speaking on Saturday on Newsfile. We've got the ACP David Eklu. He is the Director General for Police Public Affairs. Mr. Eklu, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
So let me start with the psychological help for this 13-year-old girl and the 3-year-old as well. We were told this afternoon that you've dispatched, the police has dispatched clinical psychologists to the residents to help them out. Please give us more information.
That is correct, because when we heard the concern, we have to recall our clinical psychologist who is on leave to come and attend to this issue. So as I speak now, he's there speaking to the families and then those involved to give them that psychosocial support for now. So that process is ongoing now as I speak to you.
Okay, so that's for the clinical psychologist angle, which we can explore a bit further. But I'd love for you to listen, take a listen to this so that we can engage you on this further. This is mother of the children. Please listen.
Well, she says that the children who witnessed the incident are still terrified and traumatized about the situation. She says the little boy, a 3-year-old boy who also saw what happened, right now, when he saw us arriving here, he just rushed into the room and then started crying. Well, she says anytime the boy sees someone, people who are not too familiar to him, he'll just rush to the room and then, start crying. Well, she says the 13-year-old girl, her situation is worse because she cannot eat, she cannot sleep at night. She's always terrified. She's still terrified by the situation, the incident that happened here the other time. Well, she says yesterday she sent her to go and buy some medicine. She said she cannot go and get it because she's scared, and she says she doesn't want to sleep in darkness. She always wants the lights to be switched on before she can, sleep properly.
So that is the mother of the 13-year-old and the 3-year-old speaking to our correspondent, our colleague here, Maxwell Agbagba, earlier this afternoon. ACP, she is also asking for assistance. They said that at least they have to be relocated or some sort of police protection because they believe that those that you have in custody now who are suspects know their whereabouts and can come after them, or the people who are in their camp could come after them.
We have taken note of those concerns as well, but the immediate concern is to stabilize them, and that's what our psychologist is doing. And after that, after an assessment report, we would look at others. But if it becomes necessary that we have to do that, the report from our psychologist will determine the next line of action. But in addition to that, we have also raised security in that area to keep an close eye in that community and the environment in that community. So they should rest assured that the police are there with them. And then after the psychologist has done his initial assessment, if there's any need for any further support, we'll do that.
It looks as if it took the police a while to get in touch with them after the incident happened. Can you please tell us why?
No, the police have been in touch with them, but in terms of the psychologist, he was recalled from leave. He was on leave, but he had to be recalled from leave today to attend to this emergency. So it isn't that we have abandoned them completely.
Oh, so the police had been in touch with the victim, with the witness and their parents before this?
Yes, that is what the divisional command is supposed to be doing. Before we got this concern about the trauma they are going through, and we have to recall our psychologists from leave to attend to them.
So it means that the police may have been in touch, but they did not provide these basics, including the psychological supports, which you say will stabilize them.
Yeah, that should be the standard procedure, and I believe that the divisional commander there should have done that before the psychological support here.
Okay, and then the days that it has taken, will it not matter in the stabilization process for the girl?
Pardon me?
The days that it has taken for the police to reach out with the psychological help, does it not matter in the stabilization process for the girl that you talk about?
Oh, I believe that, well, we should have done that immediately, but because our officer was on leave, the divisional commander had to do the initial contact, even though he's not an expert. But it's never late. At least it is good that he rushed from his leave and is there with them. So we see how it goes.
Okay. The residents are talking about intervention from the police. They say there has been an increased level of criminal activities in the area. And right now that a police officer has been killed there, some of them are not even opening their shops anymore. They say they want more protection. What is the police doing about this? The
regional commander has already given instructions to that. So that area will be closely watched. And fortunately, there's a new police station just ahead, Goma Ochireku, which was constructed by the community and gave us a vehicle. So police presence on that stretch would be increased. And if we're also looking at other options of doing some community police interventions in that area to build their confidence and then raise their personal security alertness. So our community policing unit would also do some interventions there. So it is going to be soft policing skills in addition to physical presence of police officers in that area.
Okay. They also talk about the fact that they are not inclined to cooperate with you if you should come, the police should come there seeking their cooperation for the investigation because they don't have enough confidence.
I think you should work with us to be able to build confidence. Sometimes it is normal that when certain events, like dramatic as they are, painful as it is, people would still get a little bit drawn back. But I believe that with constant communication with them, the trust will be built, and then we'll be able to work together because we cannot do without them, and then they also need us. So both of us, we need to work together. And that's why I'm saying I'm emphasizing the use of soft policing skills in addition to physical presence. I think that both ways will be able to work so that we can rebuild that community, but they can go back to their normal lives.
And if there's a plan for police engagements, let's say physical police engagements with them to build this confidence, do you have anything like this?
I've already mentioned that the community policy unit will also be visiting that community very soon, so we can see ways of building that engagement, which is very critical. And I indicated that this is where we have to combine the psychological support, the physical presence of police officers, and then soft policing skills like community engagement that we are going to introduce in that place.
Okay. Will the girl be, for example, be leaving with this clinical psychologist you sent to the area today?
He's working now with them, so he would have to advise on the best way to go about that.
Okay.
And if he needs any other further support, the police hospital and the authorities will be able to assist him with the work.
Okay. ACP, finally, yesterday you did indicate to us that the police was meeting over this, some messages that are flying around social media, purported to be some sort of confession from the gentleman you have arrested, the suspects or the prime suspect. You said that the police was meeting on this matter. Can you give us a brief on what the outcome of the meeting?
Those messages were also sent to us. We have also intercepted them. We don't know the source of that message, so we cannot authenticate it. But it is very important that we look into it. So in that direction, the Inspector General of Police has tasked the Police Professional Standards Bureau and then the Intelligence Directorate to look into it. They have been given 3 weeks to look into that and submit a report to the Inspector General of Police. So we are looking at that aspect of that, the allegations circulating in the media and other reports that we have received following the arrest of the prime suspect.
Okay, so that's 3 weeks, you say?
Yes.
In that case, just a bit of clarification. What exactly are they investigating? The origin of the message, as in, because it's been paraded as a police trip. So is it the origin of the message or the substance, as in the allegations, as you put it, that have been made?
We are looking at all angles. Investigation, sometimes you need to cast your net very wide and look at all angles. The origin of the message, the content of the message, the veracity of the message, and every other thing is included.
In 3 weeks, ACP Ekulu, if there is a message you want to give to those who live in this area, just to build the confidence that they have in the police, what will it be before you go?
Yes, let me just recap that we are in touch with the communities as our psychologists there. I know the divisional command is also close to there. The Central Regional Police Commander has given instructions for security to be built up. Within the coming days, we should also start community engagement with them so that we can work together. We will not abandon them. We need them. And then they also need us to work together to make that place a safe place. We have also heard the chief of the area saying that that place is, there are criminal activities in that area. So all those concerns will be taken into account, because our best tool now is to work with the community so that we can enhance their safety. So we are with them, and very soon we'll be getting in touch with them.
ACP David Ekulu, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. ACP David Ekulu is Director General, Police Public Affairs there, responding to some of the issues raised earlier in our first story about psychological health for the girl who witnessed, the girl and the boy who witnessed the gruesome killing of the police officer. He also speaks to security in the area, and then he goes on to speak about the social media messages flying, purported to be a confession from the suspect or the arrested suspect. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Pia.